Hi guys, it's Vince. Coming back to do a contest. NoiseSpektrum Lee from Canada. Just doing a little 1-year anniversary contest, and want to join in on that. First of all, Lee, congrats for being in for a year. I'm not even sure. I got to look up and see when I started doing this, but I don't think it's quite been a year yet. It might be somewhere around 8-9 months. But sometime this year it will be a year for me. But congrats on your year. I actually like this better than doing the subs thing, because it's more important that you've been in for a long time than if you've got 1 million subs, you know. So to me, I like this better. I might do that instead of doing the certain amount of subs thing when I do one. Anyway, in the background, in honor of Lee, one of his bands that he digs, and a lot of us dig, Moxie, Canadian hard rock band. There's the back. This is their third album, Riding High. It's actually the first one I ever bought, and this is the first big copy that I bought. I'm thinking, I don't know exactly, but it was probably late 70s, early 80s, so it wasn't too much after this came out in 77 when I purchased it. And didn't know who they were. I just thought the cover was kind of cool, and I lucked out. And actually, this is probably my favorite of the first four. So, Moxie. Anyway, questions. The first one that he mentioned I can't do, only because I really don't have any pictures of me from when I was little. The question was, he was asking to show a picture of us from around the time when we started buying our own records. Now, technically, I've been purchasing my own records since I was 5 years old. As the first records that I purchased myself were budget 45s, which were basically 45s that didn't sell, that they reduced down to a quarter, and also singles that had gone past their time on the charts and had fallen off and gotten kind of old, kind of like the day old bread kind of thing. And they would put them in a little baggie that had artwork and stuff to say it was for a quarter, and you know, I don't remember, I never kept one. It would have been nice if I did, but I didn't. So anyway, they would literally just throw them in a bin. And I was so enamored by records, probably from my father. You know, I was in the crib, not the crib, but the playpen and stuff in the living room, and he would be playing records. So I guess I got it from him. But I remember seeing them. It was probably like a department store close to our house, and I had to buy them. And so I took what little money I did have, and like I said, they were a quarter. And I would buy whatever I could afford, and being that I was 5, I didn't know any better what was good, bad, or anything else. I would literally look at the label and decide, that's a cool label, I'll buy that one. And in a fair amount of cases, I lucked out and got some cool stuff. But I got to know the songs on there, and it was funny because when you're little, you don't know what the hits are. So I would decide on my own which kind of was the A-side, which would be the song that I liked better. And more than half of the time, the B-side would be my favorite song. So it was kind of interesting. So I actually did that first, but right after that, I also noticed they had budget albums, which were only like a couple bucks. Once I started to get a little bit more money, and I started buying some cheap albums. Now, the 3 I'm going to show you are 3 I know that I purchased for a couple bucks, a little around that time, maybe 6, 7, so maybe a year or 2 after that. I don't know for sure exactly when it was because it was so long ago, but I do remember that these 3 albums were 3 of the ones that I bought back then. One of which is actually the original album that I purchased. The other 2 are my second copy. Obviously they got way too beat up from having them when I was 6 and 7 years old. One of them I just haven't been able to find a replacement for, so I still have the old one. Anyway, I'll start with this one. Animals, Animalism. This is from '66, I believe. This was actually the last gasp of the original version of the Animals. The album after this technically is an Eric Burton solo album that they say is Eric Burton and the Animals, and just had a picture of him on the cover. I guess they wanted to keep the name or what have you, and then eventually he did reform a new band, and they did more material as the years went on. But this is the last gasp of the original version of the Animals. And this is a very cool album. There's no big hits on it, but they do some cool remakes. Smokestack Lightning, they do Lucille, Rock Me Baby, The Other Side of Life, Hit the Road Jack, Louisiana Blues. There's a whole bunch of good kind of blues and 50s covers mixed in with a couple original tunes. But I always liked this album, so I did eventually find a better copy, which is what this is. On the black MGM label. So that was one of them that I know I bought. And the reason I know, well, that's not the reason, I do remember, but this is kind of funny. This is the copy that is actually from when I bought it. And it's because it's not an easy one to find. This is actually The Herd, which is kind of a pop psych band from '68. Now, you probably can't tell from that funky hairdo in there, but that's Mr. Peter Frampton at the ripe old age of 18, which I found out later as I got older and realized who he actually was, because I was little and I didn't realize it. Here's the back. Cool thing about this one is, at some point I lost the cover to my Animals album, and for some reason I turned this album inside out and drew my own. I don't know if you can see that or not. Oh, it's upside down. Hold on a second. There you go. There, I wrote the song titles and the MGM logo, and then over here I drew a lion playing the guitar. So actually at some point when I lost the Animals cover, I took this inside out, retaped it, and then used it as the cover for the Animals record. Anyway, so this Herd one, which is pretty beat, but like I said, I haven't been able to find another replacement. Hopefully I will someday. Fontana Records, and you can even kind of see a little bit of VG in there. I have records that I've had forever that actually have written in cursive Vincent G on them, and so I know those are from around when I first started doing cursive. The fact that there's just a VG on there shows you that it was written before I obviously knew how to do that, so that shows how old this is. So I probably bought this in like '72. The last one, a little bit newer than that. My first, obviously, Joe Walsh related record, James Gang Thirds. So this is the album after the second one that has Funk 49 on it. The third one, and this is the one that has Walk Away on it. That was the other big hit that James Gang had. So this was another one that I know I bought back then, and this is my second copy. My original, I don't believe even had this picture sleeve in it. I don't know why. I know I bought it new. Regular ABC. So obviously this is an album I've had forever, so I know this one back and forth and sideways. But I really like it. It's actually a little more on the acoustic side than some of the stuff. He always kind of did variety anyway, rock tunes and more acoustic and some organ stuff, and this kind of has a good variety. So that's 3 of the albums I bought when I was little now. Like I said, I don't have any pictures of me for 5 or 6 holding a record or anything. My first record player actually was a close-in play, which is probably why I bought 45s first, because you can't play an album on a 40 close-in play because it kind of snap it. Anyway, second question we had was collecting 5 years from now. What would you be buying? Where would you be at as far as collecting goes? Now, technically, I've been collecting the entire time, vinyl and CDs from about '85 on. I never really slowed down buying anything, even through the '90s and 2000s when vinyl wasn't being produced, because I've always bought used records, and so there was always used records to buy. So it kind of depended on how much money I had and opportunity and all that stuff, how much I bought. I'm sure there were times where I didn't buy that much and there were gaps in between when I purchased stuff, but I always bought stuff. As far as 5 years from now, in the last couple of years I've been doing this a lot more consistently. and even with less money have been checking on Goodwills on a regular basis as opposed to just getting out when I could get out. So being that I'm truly enjoying being back in this place again like I was when I was younger, outside of the other thing that I always loved doing, which was music itself, I can see myself in 5 years being as immersed as I am now, and hopefully in a better place financially, so that I can start buying some of the stuff that I really want to buy. And it's kind of funny because I watch everybody show a lot of newer stuff that I just don't have the money to get right now. I still find myself buying mostly used stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I'd really like to get myself at some point. I'm trying to picture in my head doing that, so hopefully that I go on the right path, so that I can get to that point where I can start doing it. And that's where I see myself in 5 years. I see that getting quite a bit bigger with more quality material. Hopefully get a better setup as far as the stereo goes. I have a decent setup, but it's not great. My turntable I probably had about 25 years. Wouldn't mind getting a new one, better speaker system. But I'm definitely going to be doing this. I can see being interested in doing this until I croak. And then hopefully somebody in my family will have fun selling all this, or maybe enjoying it, who knows. So that's that. As far as the third question, oh wait, was that it? Oh, I already did all three, didn't I? Yeah, because one was showing her first records that I bought, and then I had a picture I couldn't do. So I guess that's it then. Alright, cool. Once again, Lee, enjoy watching your channel. NoiseSpektrum is the channel name. If anybody else is not subscribed, just type in NoiseSpektrum with a K as one word, and you will find him, and check him out, and sub him, and all that kind of great stuff. And Lee, take care, and everybody else, see you later.